Hello and welcome aboard the Knitty Stew podcast. My name is Leanne. I am the Knitty Stew. Stew is short for stewardess. I'm a Canadian flight attendant and a knitter, and this is my YouTube channel where I usually bring you on the road with me. We visit local yarn shops and check out the areas of the Canadian cities I have the privilege of staying in as part of my job. However, today, episode 35 is coming to you from my living room in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I had made plans. So Murphy's Law right there. Between the 20th and the 22nd of November, I was in Kitchener, Ontario, which was great. So I went and visited the brand new yarn shop there. And then the weekend after, I had made plans to go to Galt House of Yarn, which is in Cambridge, just outside of Kitchener. And when I got home on the 22nd, I had that going on. And I was like, well, it was very humid in Kitchener. And then I come back to Alberta, which is extremely dry. So I was like, it's probably just, the change of humidity. But no, I came down with a beast of a sinus cold and I'm still fighting it. And today is day 9 of it. And I am scheduled to fly again in 48 hours. So fingers crossed, we'll see how that goes. But I wouldn't want to put the flying public at risk by would you like some cookies or pretzels? And here's your drink. No, you do not want a sick flight attendant. And also flying with sinus issues, if I burst an eardrum, that marks the end of my flying career. So here I am on the ground and I've got all the knitty things to discuss with you. So I wanted to pop on. I may have to edit a fair bit to get the coughing segments cut out, but my husband went to a medical appointment and I figured this was a good opportunity to jump on. So please grab a cozy beverage or whatever type of beverage of choice, maybe a project to work on or some spinning. And would you like to sit with me for a bit? We'll have a bit of a chat and then hopefully you'll engage in the comments and let me know what you're working on and how things are going for you. But before I get started on all that, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video very quickly, the Knitting Circle. The Knitting Circle is a close-knit online community with resources for yarn enthusiasts of all skill levels, from beginner to advanced. Maybe you've been knitting for years like myself, but have hesitated to try a certain technique like brioche, or perhaps you're a novice knitter looking to expand your knowledge of cast-ons and bind-offs, or how to finish and block your knits. No matter where you are in your knitting journey, there are thousands of videos, projects, downloadable guides, and patterns available at the Knitting Circle. I'll be showing you the coniferous cable mitts by Brenda KB Anderson in today's episode that I made from a pattern which I downloaded and watched the step-by-step class taught by the designer herself, where she demonstrated how to make these gorgeous cable mitts from cast on to cast off. As a member, you'll have access to the Knitting Circle's classes like the coniferous cable mitts and many, many others, including live events where experts, instructors share their tips, answer questions, and everyone engages in real time. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click on the link in the description in my description box below will receive a full year of premium access to the Knitting Circle for only $1.49. Thank you so much to the Knitting Circle for today's sponsorship. It is a beautiful day here today in Calgary. It is actually 0 degrees Celsius, which is 32 degrees Fahrenheit for my American friends. We had a very cold weekend and it was just covered with hoarfrost on all the trees and the branches. So it was very wintry, very cozy. So, it's that time of year. So I've got all the knit feels and I've got 6 finished objects to discuss, 2 works in progress. I wanted to talk about some December knitting plans and then a couple of acquisitions, and then that's that. Jumping into finished objects, the first of which I'm wearing here. This is the Handkerchief by Gudrun Johnson. I'm a big fan of Gudrun, and I saw this talked about on my girls, my friends, Jaylene and Darlene of the Cutbank Girls podcast. They live up in Prince George, British Columbia, and there's a yarn store that that one of them owns and the other one works at, and they teach classes there, and they were talking about the Handkerchief by Gudrun Johnson. So I was inspired and immediately went and grabbed my Bits and Bobs of Jameson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight yarn, and I did some swatching because I've learned that I'm a loose knitter, and also I feel like people in Shetland are tight knitters. That's a generalization, obviously, but I ended up actually having to go down 2 needle sizes. Pardon me. Her gauge is 18 stitches in garter, and I needed to go to a US 6 4mm needle to get that, where she used a US 8, which is a 5mm needle to get it. But I just think doing a gauge swatch can be also for color play, right? To decide what you like. And I ended up switching out one of my colors because it was a little bit too cool versus the other warmer tones that I chose. I'll put the details of the colors that I picked in my description below, which will link to my Ravelry page. And if you aren't on Ravelry, just send me a message and I'll let you know what I picked. But really fun pattern. It starts down here, and then you do some lace repeats, which are quite simple, and it's charted and also written out. I separate my lace repeats with stitch markers, and the pattern also includes an option where Gudrun shows you how to do short rows so you don't have to purl in the round. But I didn't do that. I don't mind purling in the round, especially if it's a small number of stitches. So I opted to do that. And she also has a tutorial where she shows you how to do this purl I-cord bind off, which I think is a really nice detail. Yeah, so this did not take long at all, and very little yarn. Yeah, and I just think it's a cute little accessory, keep my neck warm. And yeah, so that's my first finished object, the hat kerchief by Gudrun Johnson. Finished object number 2. I finally finished Dave's socks. Done, off the needles. I've actually got the sock bug pretty bad. But these ones, I actually started them in June, and it took me until November 3rd to finish them. They are the DRK Everyday Socks, which is a toe-up ribbed pattern, which is just absolutely fabulous for fit, especially if you don't know who you're knitting for or what size you need to make the person. I believe there's 7 sizes. I was gonna check that. I ended up making Dave's, he's a men's medium, and I used a US 1 2.25mm needle to make them. It's really got a Flegel heel, which is a cool, let me just get one of them. I just wanted to prove I did both. He put them on and they fit him like a glove, but no, like a sock. But I think it looks really good, and it's got a good fit. So there we go. Oh, that's Bugsy. What's up, Bugs? What's going on? He's meowing at a corner. Did your cats ever do that? Just a random corner in the house, just meowing at it. So yeah, these, also I wanted to mention the yarn I used. Dave wanted a camo sock. And so this is from Arcane Fibers. It's called Life Finds a Way. And Arcane Fibers is a hand dyer in southern Alberta. And the owner, his name is Tyler. And he is a delightful, wonderful dyer and human being. So finished object number 2. Finished object number 3 is a brooch that took me about 35-40 minutes. It is called A Poppy for Remembrance, and the pattern is Free by Laura Chow. And I just wanted to have one of these so I could wear it on my uniform and not lose it. But also the Poppy Fund goes towards veterans in the area, and modern technology I was able to donate online. So yeah, if you consider making a poppy for Veterans Day or Remembrance Day in your country, and yeah, you can donate online too. I donated to the Alberta Legion. All right, so that's it. Quick little pattern, took no time, just scraps. I used a little bit of Quince & Co. in the poppy and some Croy sock, and then just added a little pin on the back. Oh, I'm just flying through these finished objects. If today's episode was sponsored by Sesame Street, which is not, it would be sponsored by the color green. Next finished object I had alluded to in my sponsorship was the cabled coniferous cable. Wait a second. Let's try this again. Coniferous Cable Mitts by Brenda KB Anderson. Oh, look at that. Obsessed. These are supposed to be for my gift basket, but I don't know. I can whip off another pair. They only took like, I could have had these done in like a day or 2 if I would have just sat there. But yeah, this is the class on the knitting circle, and it's an hour-long class. Yeah, it's 1 hour. And it actually shows how to do them working with double-pointed needles. And I wanted to do them on magic loop because that is my preferred small circumference method. But working a cable over these amount of stitches here was actually easier to do on a double pointed needle because it was separated, depending if you're making the right or the left. I made the smallest size and I used a US 6 4mm needle to get it. My gauge was actually 24 stitches in this 100% acrylic yarn. I had started making it more of a variegated yarn, and it was, you know, getting rid of this beautiful cable. Like I wasn't able to see it with the variegation. And I was like, oh, you know, it would be nice, Malabrigo. But you know what else is nice? That's not really in my budget right now, or to be able to get Malabrigo, I'd need it shipped in. And that's not happening because our National Postal Service, Canada Post, is on strike right now in negotiations. So I went over to Michael's, our little craft store, which is like Joanne for my friends in the US, and I picked up some loops and threads. It's called a Facets acrylic, and it is 100% acrylic. It's medium, so worsted weight, I suppose. And it's just got yardage for days, 279 yards for 100 grams. And it's just beautiful. It gives off the Malabrigo single ply vibes, and it shines. And I think I don't know, I just needed it. I saw the color. They had a whole schwack of colors, and I used the coupon. And so I think it was like $5 or something. So win-win. I will definitely be making more of these. And so, yeah, hopefully, yeah, I can actually, I did weigh it, and I think I could get another pair. This is just a small ball, but I did separate 2 other ones. And so I'd have enough to make another pair out of this one ball. So beautiful result. And also, I would say, good price point. So that's finished object number 4. My 5th finished object is my 13th pair of Woodland Loafers by Claire Slade. I was not kidding about the dark green color in this episode. Like, it's everywhere. My favorite color of all time. So they look really weird. I will insert a picture instead so that you can see what these actually look like. So the Woodland Loafers pattern, why have I made 13 of them? Because it's a brilliant pattern. It's actually designed using Malabrigo Chunky with a 16 stitch gauge using US 8 or 5mm needles. It comes in small, medium, large, extra large, and double extra large. And what I usually end up doing is just knitting at my weird gauge and ending up with a smaller size. So I tried using the Alafos Lopi, and I bought that specifically to make these slippers, and I have used it in the past for my other dozen pair of these, and my gauge has changed so significantly that I actually had to use Alafos Lopi to get the proper gauge, which was bang on. I actually ended up getting the 16 stitch gauge using a US 8. I believe, let me just double check my needle size here. Oh no, I actually used a US 7 4.5mm. And I was able to get it out of just less than 1 ball of Let Lopi. And they're great. You're supposed to actually make a little loop at the top. And then they just have a little kitschy loop. And also I would recommend maybe getting some bottoms for them if you wanted people to not fly off stairs and slip around on the wood floors. They are slippery, but they're very cozy, super fast to make because they're seamless. And you do pick up stitches and work short rows. And for every pair I've ever made, I always use German short rows. That's just my preferred short row method. And I don't get holes using that. So yeah, so that's my 5th finished object. I feel like I'm just whipping through these. Woo. My last finished object is, who am I? Another pair of socks. And they fit me again. I'm supposed to be gift knitting, but everything fits me perfectly. Oh man, I just really needed some comfort while I wasn't feeling good this week. This is all I knit on from the time I got home from Kitchener last time until I cast these off 2 days ago, I believe. So this is a basic sock number 1 from Summerlee Sock Project book. My sister, Wendy, got me this book, and I'm working my way through it because I do have the sock bug. And I'm trying to figure out my fit. What do I like? I've done toe up before. I've done cuff down. These were cuff down. Basically German twisted cast on, and then the slip stitch, contrasting cuff, heel, and toe. And actually, I'd say the showstopper is the yarn. Like, this is a sock set that I got last November from Polka Dot Creek. They are local to me out here, and this sock set is called Maple Leaf and Chocolate. It is a Canada Day colorway, so they don't have it out right now, but they do bring it back in the summer. Canada Day is in July. But it does look very Christmassy and happy with those speckles, and then that chocolate colored cuff and toe. I forgot to do the contrasting color for the cuff. No, what is this? Yeah, the cuff. Oh, a little brain fog from this cold. And I used everything, but there's a teeny tiny amount of this, and that felt really good. And I do have a bit of the brown left, which is probably on the floor, and one of the cats is probably chasing it. So that's my final finished object. Before I do works in progress, I'm going to insert the footage that I do have from my Kitchener overnight, and then I'll meet you back here, quickly talk about whips, and that's that. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the vlog portion of the Knitty Stew podcast. It is Thursday, November 21st, and I am here in Kitchener, Ontario, which is in the Grand River Valley. This location is sandwiched between two other areas. Just to the north, I believe, as far as Google, I think it's north. North is Waterloo, and just to the south of Kitchener is an area called Cambridge. Now I get to come back here one more time before I don't fly here again for the rest of the season. And so this time I'm going to visit the new yarn store in the area, which I believe opened just in October, called the Flying Squirrel. And I'm going to take public transit to go there. And also, while I'm up in that area of Waterloo, I'm going to visit Canada's, I believe, longest running farmers market, or I don't know, year-round farmers market. It's called St. Jacob's. And one of you viewers mentioned that you used to live in Kitchener or grew up here, and whenever you visit, your first stop is to find an apple fritter from there. So that's my mission. And then next week, when I'm back, I'm going to head down to Galt House of Yarn, and I'll probably rent a car for that one, because I think if I took transit of some kind, it would be like an almost 2-hour excursion. So I'll treat myself next time and just rent a vehicle. And so yeah, let's get going. I've got my Under the Ivy beanie on. It's not that cold. It is about, I think, 4 degrees. So that's not bad in Celsius. I'm sorry, I can't quickly translate that for Fahrenheit for my American viewers, but yeah, I'm just gonna throw on a jacket, grab a knitting project, and find the public transit.
Look at the shape of this vehicle. I mean, this is the future. You open it up. All that space.
Well, that was going really easy, and I was on one LRT train that was going to take me straight down to Allen Stop and get off there, and I would be right at the Flying Squirrel. In aviation, we would call this an IROP, irregular operations. There's a service disruption on the C train, or the LRT, I guess. And so we got directed across the street, and we'll be taking a shuttle bus, which hopefully will be here any minute, because it's a little chilly. I'm not used to the humidity, so my hands are really cold. In the meantime, I am quite entertained by this moving statue called Because Cats Can't Fly.
Good evening. I am just about tucked in and ready for bed. I had a shower and I have a 4:50 in the morning wake-up call. I just wanted to pop on and say that I did not make it out to the St. Jacobs Farmers Market. I'll have to put a pin in that one and make it out there for next time. So I'll be back here in a week. And yeah, I'm just happy with the visit to the Flying Squirrel. As you saw the footage, what a lovely space. Erin, the owner, is super nice, and she is extremely talented and has done a beautiful job curating that shop. And so much natural light, great variety of crafts and yarns. And there was actually a knit night happening on Thursday nights from 6 to 8. But again, by the time I actually got out of there, and with the service disruption on the Ion train, the LRT, there had been a derailment earlier in the day, and I think that's what had happened. So yeah, it was getting dark and a little chilly, so I just headed back to the room, and I'll put a pin in it, and maybe when I'm back here in a week, when I go get apple fritters, I'll bring some for my friends. And well, they're not my friends yet out at Galt House of Yarn, but they're knitters, so they will be, right? They'll be my friends, especially if I bring them apple fritters. So that's my goals for next time, and for now I'm just gonna knit a little bit till I feel sleepy, and yeah, be ready for the 4:50 in the morning wake up.
I haven't really felt compelled to be working on larger items lately, just all the small gift knits and accessories, but I am continuing to work on my Candy Cloud cardigan. It is a design by Camilla Hoyer Adamson, who is also the dyer of some of the yarn in this cardigan. I'll back up so you can see. I finished the body, and I'm working away on one of the arms. The color is super fun. You use whatever you've got on hand, 4 strands of suri or lace or mohair, just 4 strands of anything that will make a candy cloud, and then large needles. So I'm using US 11 8mm needles for the body and the sleeves. And then you pick up afterwards and you do a garter stitch button band. And yeah, so I'm just working away on that when the mood strikes. It is very soft. It is very cozy and lovely. And yeah, I'll continue to work on that. It is so warm, even though it's so lightweight. And that's, you've seen this one before. Next up, quick wardrobe change before we discuss work in progress number two. My husband came home from his appointment, made lunch, which was delicious. He made me some hot kimchi soup, which felt really good. And then my son came out of his room, made his lunch, and the cats were chasing me around. So it's kind of chaotic around here. It's way easier to film on the road. Anyways, work in progress number 2. I think I had only just started this in my last episode. This here that I'm wearing is the Emsworth Vest by Isabel Kramer. I'll back up here so you can have a peek at how much I've done here. My fall wardrobe desperately needs a basic vest, and this one checks all the boxes. I'll just turn around real quick. Now, if you're familiar with this pattern, you will notice that there's something missing. I chose not to do the texture on the back. First of all, I'll get up close here so you can see it's very subtle because of the yarn I chose. It's some, center double decreases, a little bit of purling here and there, and increases, decreases, some yarn overs. Very nice texture. It also has a faux seam that goes up the side. So I don't have to seam, but it looks like I did. And it starts in the back and you knit flat and you do some increasing, and then you start from the one shoulder and you work the neckline, and then eventually you join in the round. And now that's where I'm at, and I feel like I wanted to ask your opinion on this. It actually includes A-line shaping in the pattern, and I'm not sure if that's for me. I don't know yet. So I'm gonna finish the neckline and the armhole ribbing, and then decide with an outfit on that I'll probably wear it with. Yeah, So the yarn I'm using is Brooklyn Tweed Loft, one of my favorite yarns of all time. It's American Targhee. It is woolen spun and it's light as air. It's their fingering weight. And for me, because of my loose gauge again, I get 20 stitches over 4 inches on a US 5, which is a 3.75 millimeter needle. The pattern calls for 24 stitch gauge. And so I'm knitting down to a size 1. My bust circumference at full bust is about 36.5 inches. So knitting at this larger gauge, going down to the size 1, I feel like if my math is correct, and I have blocked this once, I wet block it and let it dry, I should be getting between a size 1 and a size 2. So it's giving me this fitted look, and yeah, I'm liking it a lot so far. So I look forward to working on this when the mood strikes again. Again, I've just been working on small projects, little accessories. Really enjoying this. I was marking the length of the repeats of this lace panel, which is it's just a joy. Yeah. And on the Gudrun Johnston cowl, there was a lot of center double decreases, and there was that in this pattern too. So I felt like I was fresh with that, and that's one of the things I do. So I really like it and look forward to finishing it. I actually do have one more work in progress, but it's technically finished as far as my commitment goes. I signed up for a test knit for the lovely Ashley Adams, who she's also known as Design by So and So. She has decided to spruce up her Out of the Woods socks pattern. I'll put a picture up here. And she'd asked if some of her friends would like to try the cuff and the new layout of the pattern, etc. And I said yes, because I'm all about the socks right now. So this is what I made. And technically, that's all that's required to test it. It worked out really, really well. And I actually, it was good for me to try this, because color work and socks is not something I've done in actual sock yarn. I've done color work socks for like a house sock with Let Lopi once. I made the Ada socks, and that was one thing, but doing it with sock yarn and the floats, etc., and not getting it too tight or that it won't fit over my foot. I did a try on, I'll put a picture here, success. And I did the 64 stitch pattern. My gauge, again, I had to go way down. I used a US 0, which is like a 2 millimeter needle. Toothpick needles. What am I crazy? Yes, I might be. And I used 2 different types of sock yarn. I used Arvetta by Focolana. I actually had ordered this from Galt Yarn online, and I probably would have bought more if I had gone there in person. And look at this. I didn't expect it to, it's like the size of a sausage roll. It's really cute. And this color is called Marzipan. It's actually light fingering, and I really like it. If you're not familiar with it, that's the ball band. And it is 80% wool and 20% nylon. So I had that. That was what I used for the contrast color. And then for the main color, I used Comfort Socken Wool, H&W Germany, which is 70 wool, 25 polyamide, and 5% viscose. And it's color 8. Voila. And I really liked that because it has like flecks of tweed in it. Oh, it's showing up really good in that slide actually. Yeah, so I can finish the rest of this sock and work on that at my leisure. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the pattern actually. It's very unique in that it is a folded cuff. So you knit stockinette and then you fold over and you can pick up the cast on edge and do a knit 2 together. And she has a video and tutorials to go with all of the unique things that I'd never seen before, including this here. This is called the Estonian button stitch. Really cool texture. It kind of looks like a mini bauble. but it's basically slip stitches over, and then you pull them back over the other side. Again, she has a video tutorial. And yeah, again, my tension working, I'm really into magic loop right now, and my tension to pull it over, the one place where it's actually a little tight is the join between the two, the front needle and the back needle in magic loop. I did really want to like the 9mm needles. In fact, I got Knit Pro needles after watching Ruth Loves to Knit podcast, because she says those fit really good in her hand, and they do. And I ordered a US 1 2.25, and it took forever to get here actually. I think it came from the UK, and I really wanted it to work, but it wasn't comfortable for me. I just much prefer magic loop and using a 5-inch needle. It just gives my hand something to hold on to. So anyway, I will continue to work on that. Ashley said that this pattern, it is already out there. It was just a revamp of a few things, so it should be available in the new format on, I believe, December the 7th, so watch for that. To finish today's episode, I thought I'd just talk about a couple of acquisitions and then some December knitting plans, and maybe that would be a little bit of gift inspiration if you're looking for some gifts for people. Let me know if you are a gift knitter or not, and if you are, what are you making? I did realize that I just, my Motley Crue t-shirt, nothing says Merry Christmas like Motley Crue. Okay, my first acquisition, I was actually thinking this was a pre-order because I'd seen it on Instagram, and yet I went onto Amazon and it arrived the next day. I got Joyful Colorwork Socks, the new book by Charlotte Stone. I'll show you which one's got me. Look at this. The pattern is called Crunching Carrots. Look at those. How adorable. Sorry about the shine there. Oh my gosh, there's so many cute ones. And I mean, hello, cat socks. So again, I'm going to keep working on my color work and socks. There's just always something to learn in this craft, isn't there? And when you think you've got something, color work itself is something I feel pretty good with. And yet when I was working on the Out of the Wood socks, I did use my plastic thimble, and I feel like it might have been too tight. So perhaps one in my left, one in my right. Oops, left, right. That's hard. Yeah, maybe that would be the method, and just making sure I'm loose and spreading out my stitches. But I mean, I think that's where I'm at. I'm going to give those a try. So that was one acquisition I wanted to talk about. My next acquisition was a treat to myself. I have never done an Advent before. Actually, that's a lie. One other time I did, and I ended up not using any of it. It's still, actually, I will show some of it later. This was from the Petite Knitter, who is not to be confused with Petite Knits. The Petite Knitter lives in Iqaluit, which is way up north in Canada, and she has wonderful colorwork designs, and she's also a maker and a handcrafter. So she had a six-day Advent and a 12-day Advent, and I treated myself to the 6-day Advent, which is going to include some natural wools, some patterns. I think she's got like candles and knitting notions, stitch markers, all that kind of cozy stuff. So I ordered that, and then Canada Post went on strike. Now, because she is in such a remote place, there are no third-party vendors for her to get those out to the people who had pre-ordered them. But just today, just before I started filming this, she sent an email, and they took a commercial flight from Iqaluit to Ottawa and then sent out their Advents using the third party, which is incredible. So I get to look forward to that. Yay! And there's one other thing that's in transit. It is in a warehouse of unknown location. I sold my Kiwi 3. I realized that because it is, it has to stay at home, I don't get to bring it with me. And that I really prefer how thin I can get using my little nano e-spinner. I found this thing called an Argonaut, which is designed by someone named Emma G. Makes. She's on Instagram. She's also on YouTube. And she is making these 3D printer and like they're like incredible e-spinners, and she's got all these different colors. And so I sold my kiwi, went to a very good home. In fact, it was a husband who is surprising his wife, who is with her dad who's not doing well. So she had messaged me and then said, oh, you know, I have to go, I'll be out of province for a while, but when I come back, I'll get in touch with you. In the meantime, her husband contacted me and came over and bought it for her. So Ashley's gone to a good home, and I think I'm going to get a lot more use out of this really cool Argonaut. I'm going to insert a picture of what it's going to look like, and hopefully the Canada Post strike ends soon and that my Argonaut gets to me. Okay, knitting plans for December. I figured I'd wanted to like when I'm laying in bed at night, I'm thinking about all the things I want to do. And this has been on my mind for probably the last 2 months. You may have seen, and I just took them down. I had made in 2018, I think, 2018, knitted stockings for the family. I was new to colorwork knitting, and I love seeing the progression of that I got better with each stocking. The name of this pattern, the designer, is actually escaping me right now. I will put it in the description box below, but that was quite a few years ago. In each one, my color work got a little bit better. So I made one for both of my kids, the grown-ups, and then one for myself and Dave. Mine was the first one. And then I'm thinking, well, now that kids are grown up, should I maybe make stockings for the cats? So I really want to make cat stockings. But I feel that they need to be smaller, and these are quite large. I made these using Briggs & Little Heritage, which is a pretty heavy, I'd say Aran weight yarn. So, and I think it's like around 56 stitches or so on a 4.5 millimeter US 7 type needle. I do have a pattern that I bought many years ago. I don't know if it was that many years ago, but it's by Isabel Kramer. Caitlin Hunter. And it was for some socks. I'll put a picture of it here. I think it was called Sisterhood socks. And I think they use like between 48 stitches or so, so just slightly smaller. So I will maybe insert some color work, cat themed, maybe some fish, personalized. So we have Allie, who is the oldest kitty, oldest by 7 days. She's 8 years old. And then we have Quinn, and then we have Bugster. We just call him the Beast because he is crazy and awesome, but he hasn't climbed the tree yet. So I hope you didn't hear that. So that's one of my plans as well. Also, every year, my friend Erin and I we go to see a lunchbox theater play. So you get to bring your lunch and go watch some live theater, which we love to do. Nobody else in our life likes to do it. And I've known Erin since grade 11. So we go back, and so these get-togethers are very important. And she is one of the most knit-worthy people in my life. She treasures every single handmade ornament that I've ever made her. So this year, I saw these ones called the Good Tiding Ornaments by Susan B. Anderson. They are super cute, and they have a little bit of color work. They wouldn't take much time. I've made her quite a variety over the years, and I think this might be a nice classic pattern. So I am planning to try the Good Tidings ornaments. Also, my daughter and another really longtime friend of mine who is in New Zealand, they both love their hot water bottle cozies that I've made them. Now, Anna, my daughter, has a mini hot water bottle. So just this tiny one, I think it's about 6 inches by 5. So this is a tiny one. And I'd made her one with color work, Brooklyn tweed shelter scraps, and the bottom is open. And she says at the bottom, sometimes with it being open, it gets too hot. So she would like a hot water bottle cozy with a bottom. So I'm planning on that. And then my friend Angela over in New Zealand, where it's really hot right now, but she has used this one I made her 2007, 2008. I cannot imagine the state of this decrepit thing. It is made out of a cotton wool blend, so it's probably well worn and lovely, but she has a regular size hot water bottle. So I've asked her to send me a picture of it. If she gets that to me, I'll insert it here, but she might not get back to me about that. And she turns 50 next month, January. Oh no, in February she turns 50. So I would like to send her an upgraded version for her. So that's another knitting plan. And then, believe it or not, I got to show you, I did this. Get ready to laugh. I crocheted something. Look it. Can you tell what is the cast on / foundation? So yeah, I have taken a crochet class. It was a very long time ago. And I've also done a little bit of Tunisian crochet. So yeah, I'm definitely a novice, a beginner. But when I see other podcasters talking about the granny stitch blanket and the granny stripes blanket, oh, I get inspired. Knitty Natty did one, it was a queen size bed. And I'm like, oh, sure, I should do that. So that's what I came up with. I've ripped it out. I will start over because I found a cast on, and I will put that in the description box in case you're a knitter who's crochet curious, where they cast on and it looks more like a long tail cast on. In fact, I was thinking in my mind, I was like, gosh, this cast on foundation chain, I shouldn't be calling it a cast on. I found it tricky to keep my tension okay. I wonder if I could use knitted cast on. And then I found this video, it showed up on a YouTube short, and it is mostly a long tail cast on with a little crochet finish. So boom, I'm gonna start over. And this is what I'm gonna do. I made a magic ball with yarn advent balls, skeins that I never did use. I'm not really much of a scrappy girl, but I do love me. I use the magic knot all the time. It doesn't scare me. And then I wound up, this is almost the size of my head, some of my fingering weight scraps. And yeah, you just go and crochet along. Or I'd also thought about maybe making the sea glass mitts. I will show a picture of that here. I do have it printed out, but it's just black and white. And yeah, making sea glass mitts with that as well. And oh, I wanted to show you. When I did my magic knot, I finished it off with a spot of fray check, just in case. And so hopefully, if I make the sea glass mitts, that's by Wool and Pine, by the way. There's a lot of sea glass. They have the sea glass hat, cardigan, pullover. There's sea glass everything, and it's what would be wonderful. Just color changing yarn from my own stash. So that's another December plan. Is that everything? Is that all I'm going to get up to? I mean, I have dream knitting. I did come across a new to me designer who has all free patterns, which seems incredibly crazy to me, but her name is Tracy Scott, Tracy with an I, and her website is fleecelovehappiness.com. She does incredible colorwork hats and mittens, and I want to get some of those on my needles. And they're all the same gauge. So if I can figure out how to get the gauge on whatever type of yarn that I choose. Okay, whew, little coughing action there. I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. I just wanted to discuss that if I can get gauge on particular yarn that I decide, then I'm good for all of her patterns. And it's just colorwork heaven. So please go check her out. A couple other quick gifts that would be great would be the bandana cowl by Pearl Soho. I've made several of these, several as in two, but I do have a fair bit of chunky weight yarn. And another great chunky make that I came across was from the Fiber Company called Chunky Comfort Hearth Socks. Those would be very quick, and I do have a fair bit of bulky / super bulky yarn. So, I mean, more gift knits or more slippers into the basket at the front door. Another pattern, I just want to finish with this. I came across the other day, and she has a beautiful podcast just released. Melody Hoffman has Little Bear pattern, and I don't know who I'd be making that for right now. There's nobody in my life that I know that's having a little one, but I just absolutely love it. And in the pattern, it has a technique which I've never done, intarsia in the round. Like I found some YouTube tutorials and they look like they take like 3 days to watch, but I did find one that seems understandable and doable, and I'd really like to make this cute little bear. Oh my gosh, it's so good. She's also known as Bee Mandarins. Even if you just go watch her podcast for some peace, she lives in a tiny little 1870s house in France somewhere. Unbelievable. It's so soothing. Unlike mine, which is like all over the map. And oh, and I wanted to let you all know and thank you so much for your kind comments on the sisters collaboration of the Tanis Fiber Arts Jethro cardigan. My sister Mona has actually joined one of them so far, and then it's my sister Wendy's going to take over from there, and I'm going to finish the knitting, but we haven't got together since we did last time, so hopefully we can do that before the end of the year or early into 2025. And my friends, I think that's everything for today. I'm going to wish you a happy winter season, happy turning of the year, whatever it is that you might or might not celebrate at this time. I do hope that you are healthy and happy and enjoying your makes and your crafting. If you enjoyed the content today, please like, subscribe, please comment below, let me know what you're up to or anything that you'd like to talk to me about. I love reading the comments and I do try and reply to every single one. And until next time, I'm gonna go get myself some tea, cozy up with one of these many things that I want to make, and I will see you here next time on the Knitty Stew.